in this case, previous marker time is going to be what? 2 seconds, because 1 is before 2, and current marker time is going to be 4. So if time is between 2 and 4, up until that point, I want you to retain the position of this marker, which was again from previous marker position, and that will come as position 1. Else, time going from current marker time to current marker time plus anim in, you go from previous marker's position to position 2, and similarly for position 3. Om Namah Shivaya. This is October 24, 2023, 6:15 p.m. and it's been kind of a confusing day so far. It's Dussehra, so it's a holiday from the full-time job, and this is something that happens quite often. Is when there's a holiday from the full-time job, it's not that I don't have things to do, it's just that it's kind of difficult to put things into perspective. Like, time flows very relatively, there's no like schedules or sort or anything. But this session was very important to do because so far in the whole day I've just done like a few episodes of uploading. What I wanted to cover in this episode is on this weekend, the weekend we just went by, Saturday, Sunday. Remember the last time I was making a video, I was trying to think of something like this where I have a camera, so this is my camera, and let me just play this composition once. So what happens is, if you see that my camera is going to, if you look at this thing on the left, based on these markers on the timeline or on the camera layer, my camera is going to predefine positions with just these markers. So you see at 1 we went to the first circle, this is your active camera, this is the custom view one. Then we went to the second circle, then we went to the third circle, and 0 brings us like 30 frames after 0, we come back to our original position. And this is so beautiful that if I come in here and let's say I want to go to 2 now, I just hit 2, and now from 0 we'll go to the second position, and if I want to, let's say, go 1, we'll go back to the first position, and then from here I can go to the third position. So you see, from this kind of a setup, there is absolutely no keyframes required in my camera layer, and I can always come back to my base position as well. So now it will come back to the base position. So this kind of animation is extremely important for the map kind of animation that I'm trying to do for cutout episodes. And this is also like the first step to my bigger plan with creating content, is to go completely keyframe-less in my approach to making animations. So if I was to open this code, on the position of this camera layer, we've added an expression which is driving all of this situation here. We'll take this to the top so we get more real estate. Okay, so if marker.numKeys is greater than 0, this is like a wrapper if condition. So everything in the code that will follow happens only if there are some markers on the layer. Like for example, if I was to come in here and delete all markers, then else, so if there are no markers here, we go down to the else. The root else is value. Value means if there are no markers, so stay as you are, which is the value of the position is going to stay as it is, which is whatever the value is. Okay, that's also our current position or base position. So if marker.numKeys is greater than 0, which means that we have some key markers here. Okay, current position, this is a variable, is transformed to dot position. M is equal to marker.nearest key time.index. So this is one thing which I was constantly figuring out. So this marker.nearest key time.index is not starting from 0, it is starting from 1. So even if this is 1, even if this key actually the value was 2, let's say, even if the value of this was 2 and we're going to the second position, which is how it is working, the index for this marker is 1, right? So you don't have to get confused here. You can get confused here between the index of the marker and the value of the marker. You have to be a little careful that way. So M is storing index, so here M is equal to 1 even though the value is 2. And CMT is equal to marker.key m.time. So CMT is basically the current marker time, and the current marker time for 2 is 1:16. Let's take it to 2 just to make it easier to understand. I'm going to switch it to 1. So we're going to position 1, and this second, let me take it to 4. Now by the way, how is this 30 frame? I can come to control here and effects, control for control, animate in frames. I can change this to 10. Okay, so now what will happen is, in 10 frames this will go to 1, it will be a lot snappy, and in 10 frames it will go to 2. This is also like completely customizable. That's the level of modularity I wanted to add. Anyway, so M is again, let's start considering this one and this one at 2 seconds and 4 seconds. So m is equal to 1 and cmt is equal to 2. Okay, if m is greater than 1, pmt is equal to marker key m minus 1 dot time. So m is greater than 1. I want to define actually 3 variables: cmt, current marker time, pmt, previous marker time, and nmt, next marker time. But pmt, which is the previous marker, will not exist if m is equal to 1. If this is the first marker, which is our case here, there will be no pmt. So in order to avoid that error from coming up, which is an error which will come if you don't have this if condition, I decided this check here that if m is greater than 1, only then evaluate pmt. And similarly for nmt, let's say if the marker that we're trying to look at here is this one, the final marker. For this marker, the next marker will not exist. So what the condition we put is if m is less than marker dot num keys, which num keys here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, if m is equal to 8, for the final one we're not going to consider nmt. So for the first one we're not going to evaluate pmt, and for the last one we're not going to evaluate nmt. These are just some conditional checks. Okay, then there are a few variables here. Tag is equal to marker dot key m dot comment. So here in this case, tag is equal to 1 string, double quotes 1. If this was 3, it would be 3, 2, or 0, whatever. Now position 1, position 2, position 3 is basically these 3 null layers I have. So the transform position of those null layers, so that if I want to change, like for example, right now 1 is here. Okay, we're zooming into 1, we're going here. If I was to change, if I was to take my this layer and move it up, this will accordingly move where the camera is zooming in. Okay, so that is that. Animation in is equal to, again I'm trying to refer those control points here, which I can come in here and mark as lock. So animation in and animation out. Now there are 2 important functions to make this entire thing work. One is previous marker position, and the second is not really a function, but I want to make a function for this thing because it's like repetitive if-else blocks of code. So function to calculate position for previous marker. Now we have conditions here. If m is greater than 1, com is one variable is equal to marker dot key m minus 1 dot comment. So what is the goal of this function here? Function previous marker position m. When you call this function, you're going to call this function and m is going to be the current comment, right? For example, it's going to be m greater than 1. Again, why? Because for the first marker where m is equal to 1, index is equal to 1, there is no previous marker. So if m is greater than 1, then comment is equal to marker dot key m minus 1 dot comment, and position is 0. Okay, we've defined that as a initial condition. So this if is like a bigger if, like if you see this if is closing here and inside here, so I should probably have this as an indent so it's easier to understand. So if com, which is the previous marker's comment, okay, if com is equal to 1, pos is equal to this com dot layer null 1. So now this is pretty self-explanatory. Wherever you are in your marker, right, compare the previous marker's com, which is tag. If this is equal to 1, pos is equal to null 1's transform position. If this is 2, pos is equal to null 2's transform position. If this is 3, pos is equal to null 3's transform position. Else pos is equal to transform dot position. This is your base position. And again, else is pos is equal to transform dot position. This is the case when this is the first marker. So if this is your first marker, your transform dot position is your base position from where you're starting your animations. Okay, and this function importantly towards the end is returning pos, which is the variable we calculated through these if-else conditions. Now let me come to the meat of this entire expression. If tag equals 0, now what was tag? Tag was this global variable which was referring to marker dot key m dot comment. So in this case, when we are at 2 seconds, tag is equal to 0. This is for the base position. If the marker which we are coming to says 0, let me just skip this and come to 1 because that's our first marker. So else if tag is equal to 1, if marker says 1, then we have an if-else, simple if-else condition. So if time, now t is again a global variable which is referring to the time of the composition. If t is greater than previous marker time and t is less than current marker time, previous marker position m. So what happens here is marker says 1. T is when marker is equal to 1. Here PMT and CMT will be evaluated basis our conditions previously. So PMT is going to be 0. Current marker time is going to be 2 seconds at 1. When you come to 1, the current marker time is going to be 2. Okay, so if I come back here, if tag is equal to 1, if t is between 0 and 2, if time is between 0 and 2, then you hold previous marker position. And in this case, previous marker position is going to be what from our function is going to be transformed position because 1. Okay, else ease is again like a linear, like an interpolation expression. Time going from current marker time to current marker time plus anim in, which is this value here. Then you go from previous marker position m, which you were holding, up until that point to position 1. Okay, when I do this for 2, it'll make a little more sense to you. Okay, if tag equals to 2, which is this one at 4 seconds, if time is greater than previous marker time, now in this case previous marker time is going to be what, 2 seconds, because 1 is before 2, and current marker time is going to be 4. So if time is between 2 and 4, up until that point I want you to retain the position of this marker, which was again from previous marker position, and that will come as position 1. Else time going from current marker time to current marker time plus anim in, you go from previous marker's position to position 2, and similarly for position 3. Yeah, so next marker time is actually not needed in this case, just the current marker time, and the previous marker time does it what I want you to do. Okay, so this was how this code works. What else do I want to do here? I want to take a script. Okay, and there'll be a script panel on the right side, and over there I'm gonna enter a particular number, let's say 5, and it will generate 5 nulls for me, and it will plug those 5 nulls into this expression, and it will give me buttons on the script itself. When I press that button 1, it will select the camera layer and will add that marker. Like if I select button number 2, it'll add a 2 marker to it. That's what I want to do with this, so that I don't have to even come in here and manually say alt numpad star and then 3. Or let's say if I have added 5, I don't want to like manually define those 5 positions in this expression, although I can use this as well. This gets the job done. There's no keyframe situation, but I want to take it like as far as I can with systematizing everything, which brings me to, I'm going to make a new composition and trying to explain the 2 plugins that I bought. The first one is, let me go to my regular working AE. So this is basically what I bought is a collage maker sort of pack from Envato, videohive.com. Okay, and AtomX is a free plugin thing you can come in here and install. So the beautiful thing about this is, let me come in here and click apply. So it will apply this, and it will bring in a composition with this kind of whatever you're previewing, like your collage, that kind of effect. So if I play this now, this is like one thing I don't quite know why it's not showing anything. So we have to come into media. Okay, let me add a logo of sorts to drive the point home. I'll drag and drop this here. Yeah. So just dragging this logo here gives you, depending on whatever effect you've chosen from there, it gives you this kind of a reveal, like a newspaper reveal kind of effect, without the need to like manually keyframe or mask this out. Okay, this is one thing, and so it gives you the ability to make your own images into like a newspaper reveal, and more importantly, it gives you a bunch of effects. It gives you a bunch of elements as well. So if I come into animal, I can just straight away, if I want to use, let's say I want to use a parrot in one of my animations, I can just hit apply, and it takes some time because it is retrieving that composition, like basically recreating that composition from the directory that we have. Yeah, you see it takes a little bit of time to like show up. Like refresh is a bit slow from what I've seen, but once it is done, it's good. So I can just drag and drop these elements here and like change your composition markers, and in time and out time and everything changes. So from here it will go back, and so like this I can drag in like a building of sorts. So I can just select this here. Now this, from what I've understood, is basically like you take your bunch of Envato elements, and then you make your own library out of it. But the reason I invested this into this pack is because cache is full. What was that error? Disk cache. So yeah, we're building forming, and this way I can build up like a scene very quickly, and it puts everything into like a easy to use thing like this. Like you can have objects. This is going to be very useful. I think hands is going to be the most useful. So you come in here, and this is what I've been told, like from this YouTube channel called Validation. They said that there's newspaper cut. There's too many things here to like play with, and there was hands somewhere. There are these built-in elements that you can use, which is crazy. Like there's so many. You get transitions, all of your transitions here. Typography. Just gonna show one of the hands. There's people. It seems to be a little taxing on the system. Like I would want to like have it do a little smoother instead of being so taxing. So we get the element here. You see, it's taking so long to like show up on my preview. Not exactly sure what the error is, or like if I have to free something up or anything. Examples, background. Oh, we also have like textured backgrounds. Wow, this is crazy. This is very nice. And actually I bought this on Sunday, this pack, and it's only now that I'm actually exploring these things because I had to make a video out of it. So this is crazy. Like there's like the thing that I was thinking about is just using these collage artifacts, which in themselves are so appealing to watch. I could make entire click reflect animations. That's the thing I could do. But that's one thing that's recently happening is there's a lot of noise outside, just ignore that, because this is not a song cover. It's okay. Speaking of song cover, after almost I think 2.5 years or something like that, I uploaded a video on my main channel, which is a song cover for Fir Na Aisi Raat Aayegi, and it's gone viral. Viral, I don't mean like it's gone like millions of views, but getting like 1K views in a day without any promotion from my end. I did not even put it on my WhatsApp status. That's like the first time ever. So that's crazy. Like by itself, YouTube is doing the heavy lifting of distributing it. I just spent a lot of time in curating it and like making it sound good and presentable. Like it's in 4K and that complete cinematic aspect ratio and everything. So I was thinking about click reflect animations can happen this way, but I was coming to the point that recently things have been very like, I'm not very sure what to do with things like planning and strategizing all these things. I'm just trying to live a little more spontaneously and a little more in the now and just have what is unfold itself. Yeah, that's basically how it is. So coming back here, I'm gonna import one video that I made for the full-time job where I used the other script that I bought, which is called 3D Parallaxer, and it's also quite impressive script. So here I'm gonna come and open this comp here. I'm gonna select the one that I really liked is climate change. Okay, so basically I have if I show this, I separated this using Photoshop. So thanks to cutout now, I even know before that I was very comfortable, but with cutout I'm super comfortable to just separate things out inside Photoshop. And yeah, I will get back to uploading cutout very soon. Just bear with me a little bit. So I separated the earth out and this fire thing out, and there's a background behind, right? Perfect. Just take one image, make it into so many different parts, no problems. How do you use the parallaxer effect? So you want to just come in here and click on this big parallaxer button. I don't know about these other, but small scene just every time works. Now the script will prompt you to go into 2 views here. So you come in here and make it 2 views. Okay. Now you won't see anything initially because you have to zoom out and why is this behaving so weirdly? Like, oh, because it's custom view 1. I have to set it in top view. Sorry, so not custom view 1 but top view. Yeah, so here you won't see anything on this. You have to zoom out and then you'll see your layers. Okay, so there is this intermediary phase where you have to like just see if everything is working like you want it to. So if I come in here and I select my camera and I move it into the Z position, basis the distance of the layer. So you see climate change, this text layer is on the top of the layer stack, so this will be closest to your camera, and then others will be like, there'll be a curves layer after this, and then there will be these layers. So that's how the parallax is coming, right? Now what you can do is, there's a bunch of things you can do. Let's say I don't want the climate change thing to be here. I can put the climate change thing at the same distance as the background layer. Okay, this is kind of interesting. So I can take the text layer and I can select this layer and I can hit flat. No, but that messes some things up. Let me put it the same as the earth layer. So that's layer 7, climate change and earth layer. If I flatten this, just focus over here. If I flat this, position will be like the same. Okay, now if I take my camera and I move it in, you will see climate change will be stuck to that thing in position, and there is still like a parallax with the heat layer behind. So yes, you can do this manually as well, but having a script that does it for you is a little time saving, and scripts and plugins I'm not worrying about investing into them, because long term they're very, very beneficial. So that is that. Now before you animate, this is extremely important because it makes things crash if you don't do it this way. Click on this bake button, right? It will bake those expressions or something, and then it says you are now ready to animate. So you can come in here, rub a position keyframe. That's the position keyframe by default, and then you can move it inside negative parallax, and there you have it. Just a few clicks and you have an entire parallax. I think it will be nicer to like reverse this, so that gives like a nice effect. So that was Parallaxer and the Envato plugin, and the situation with cameras moving along with anywhere on your canvas just using markers. It took a little time to like figure it out, because the last video I showed how it was snapping here and there, but finally I figured like I had to put a lot of logic. Like I even made notes inside this book. After a long time I brought my book out and I drew like the timeline. I don't know if it'll be visible on the camera, but I drew. I'll take a picture of this and I'll put it on this video here. So I drew a timeline, and then this would be previous marker and current marker and dryer and everything. It was nice, like a lot of programming logic and stuff involved in it. So that was it for today's documentation. One good thing is like every single week now there's going to be a video on Rajmeet Singh, or it's going to be a song cover. It's taken a while for me to figure out exactly what to do with the main channel, and I'm glad that I've figured out now what has to be done. So that is one exciting thing to look forward to, and thank you so much for being in the Khud. I will catch you tomorrow. Peace.